Hello YouTube, I'm Charles with Charles Acrylics. Please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of newly uploaded videos. Today we're going to be going over how to paint clouds. You'll first need to decide which type of cloud you want to paint. There's many varieties like the stratus or the cirrus clouds or the more common cumulus clouds shown here. Today's painting is going to be a cross between the stratus and cumulus clouds. When painting my clouds, I generally use mop brushes, 3 different sizes, and I do almost a dry brushing technique. So I'll start off with a more darker color of the cloud, like maybe the darker grays or the blues, depending on which kind of color I'm going here for. I'm doing a reference photo, and it has the dark portions towards the base and the lighter portions towards the top. So when painting your clouds, you want to paint backwards almost, starting with the darker portions and then slowly dry brushing in your lighter portions. I'm putting very, very little paint on the brush itself. On my big mop brush, actually it's a newer brush, you'll see me here picking out a bunch of hairs because I'm so rough with the brushes. Like I said, I'm barely putting any paint on it and very lightly brushing it and coming back to apply heavier and heavier coats. Another thing that's going to help your clouds look more realistic is having some soft edges. So by doing my dry brushing and starting from the center of my cloud and kind of moving out to almost nothing, I'm dry brushing down, I'm pushing very hard on the canvas and just trying to get every last drop of paint off that brush. That kind of helps that edge appear soft. You don't want to, around the edges, to have solid blocks of color. You actually want a little bit of the background color to show through, and that will kind of give your painting a little more depth, have your clouds look a little more realistic. So now that I've got the bulk of the clouds laid out with my large mop brush, I'll now switch to the medium mop brush, and I'll start on the top part of the clouds now where the highlight's going to be, and working my way down. I'll have a little bit more paint on it this time, so I can have a little bit thicker paint on the edge of the clouds. As I'm working down, I'm getting back into that dry brushing. I'm kind of working it out almost to nothing. I don't want to completely cover up the gray that I already did, or completely cover up the blue background that's showing through, because you still want those different transparencies to show through there to allow depth in your cloud. Now I'll start jumping pretty much all over the place, putting in a little bit of touch here, a little bit of touch there, a little more dry brushing with that medium mop, and just kind of getting the appearance of where I want it, where I feel it should be. And like I said before, that each cloud is different, no cloud's the same, so trying to make it just perfect or just right to maybe fit your reference photo, it doesn't really have to match exactly. As long as you've got those soft edges, it's going to help it appear more realistic. You'll see I'll even start coming in here with a little bit of blue in the white now, trying to add a little more depth to it, a little undercolor or foreshadowing of clouds in the background, and just kind of jumping all around, adding highlights where I think it needs it. And as you're painting along and doing your highlights, if you feel an area needs to be a little bit more darker, and come back in and add a little more shadow by putting a little bit of blue in the white, or just a very small touch of black to get a little bit of that grayish color to add those darker shades to get more depth for you. Then once I'm satisfied with the shapes and the shadowings and the mid-grade highlights, I'll then switch to my smallest of my 3 mop brushes, and I'll come in very sparingly and put a little touches for highlights. At this point here, you really don't want to overdo it, because the little touches of this part of the highlights is really going to make the rest of it kind of pop. and so if you put too much in there, then it's just going to overshadow everything. Well, that about covers it for how I go about doing my clouds. I hope it's been helpful for you. I'm going to go ahead and add in a picture here showing some mountains. You just kind of get some perspective, just kind of see how it looks. This is a painting I'm doing for a client of Bogota, Colombia. So maybe even do a tutorial video later on of how I'm going to do these mountains and highlights. But anyways, for these clouds, I hope it's been helpful for you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to be notified of newly uploaded videos. And God bless and happy painting.